Use it. Please. I'm going to call this special, or not special, it's our Town Committee Council of the Whole meeting to order. Roll call, everyone is here except for Councilor Sheets. Calendar and communications. Any calendar communications from the council? Seeing none. Approval of the minutes. Would somebody move the minutes, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
I abstained, Jim. I wasn't here.
Okay. That's one abstention, Nikki. New business, we have item 2006-0100, Thames Street Rehabilitation Study. For those that aren't aware, back in November last year, there was a referendum on the voting ballot that was turned down by the electors. The project cost at that time was, I believe, $10.7 million for bonding. Subsequently, we decided to establish a task force committee to study Thames Street, review the project, and consider other options and other costs. And at this point, I would like to thank the committee members that were assigned to this. It was from the Town Council, Deb Montero, City Deputy Mayor Marion Galbraith, City Councilor Keith Hedrick, from the RTM, Carol McCarthy, Mark Spencer, and Nancy Beckwith, Thames Street Revitalization Committee members Hallie Keeler and Robin Hoffman. I would also like to thank the members of the city and town staff that participated on that committee, City Mayor Dennis Pop, Town Manager Mark Offinger, Barbara Goodrich, the City Planner, Tim Umriz, the Manager of the City Highway Department, Gary Snyder, the Director of Public Works in the town, Gary Hanover, Supervisor of the Town Tech Service, and Al Chapman, the City Engineer. I must express that the committee, they all volunteered their time to serve on the committee, and to be honest with you, they gave up most of their Thursday evenings throughout the summer, and that's very appreciative. I would also like to thank the architects from Malone and McBroom, Tony Cirillo and Tom Shield. They helped us immeasurably with the committee. And personally, having served on many committees throughout the last 35 years, I was proud to be part of it. And the reason why is the committee not only did an extraordinary job in bringing down the cost for the Thames Street project and ensuring that and recommending an appropriate scope and cost for the new project, but they threw politics out. And they also threw out any town-city bickering that has occurred sometimes periodically. But they did a wonderful job at it. You'll see through this presentation exactly what they did. And I guess I can speak now that I, for one, am in complete support of it. And I hopefully the rest of the town council members will follow suit, and we will approve placing it on a referendum again in May of next year. So I guess the best way to introduce the City Deputy Mayor Marion Galbraith to give a presentation on it. And by the way, she was the horse that pulled us all together on this and worked extremely hard.
You're okay?
That's fine.
Okay. Tony Cirillo from Malone and McBroom is going to be joining me, and Councilor Keith Hedrick is going to work our slideshow for us, and hopefully that's magic for us. While Keith is bringing this up, I know that Mayor Streeter just mentioned all of the people who participated in this, but if you could just go to the next slide, please, Keith. Again, I want to show them to you, and I would like to extend my thanks as well, not only to the members of the committee, but to the town council for putting this committee together. Not only was it a broad-based group of people, but it was a wonderful group of people to work with. We worked on reaching consensus. We listened to each other. Everyone was focused on the project, and no matter what our conceptions were when we first came to the committee, we worked all together to do the best we could for Thames Street. So why don't we begin with our presentation. This is the area that the that the project would entail. It begins at Eastern Point Road in the south, where Eastern Point Road and Thames Street meet, and then it continues up Thames Street and it ends at Bridge Street. And as you know, Bridge Street is currently undergoing a streetscape project paid for with ARA funds. So that is not part of this project. We have here two pictures of the street, one from today, well, not today, but one from its current condition in the bottom right-hand corner, and one from I believe it's the 1950s, when the Nautilus was coming home. But we picked these pictures for two reasons. One is to show the similar condition of the road. You can see the patchwork effect. As a matter of fact, as we'll see later on, the last time bituminous concrete was put over the road was in 1957, when the entire thing was treated. So that you can see that real patchwork effect, and that patchwork effect is caused by the different conditions that are underneath the road. There are places where there are still the timbers for trolley tracks, and so you can see the condition of the road. The other thing we wanted to show you here was how vital Thames Street once was. And if we go to the next slide, Thames Street is really of major importance to us. It's one of our gateways into the area. As you know, you can come into Groton either by coming through Bridge Street and then coming onto Thames. You can come in, go down Route 12 onto Long Hill Road, or you can come in over by 117. But this is a major gateway for us. It also links several of our important features in Groton. It is a link between the Nautilus Museum, if you're coming from the Nautilus Museum and going to any of our other historical spots, or not, I shouldn't say any because it's certainly not all, but if you're coming toward Fort Griswold from there, you're going to go on Thames Street at some point. It links major things in our area. It's also a major route for our industry. It's used by people going to Electric Boat, by people going to Pfizer, by people going to Avery Point. So it's an important street to us in the town of Groton. And as people, you know, for those of us who have worked very strongly, and certainly I haven't done what many of you have done to make sure that the subbase stays open, we know the importance of the link between Electric Boat and the subbase, and this is a major corridor in that link. The street has been the subject of numerous studies. Here's what we could find here, but you'll notice that these studies have been conducted by the town and the city. This has not been the purview of just one area of our community. We have all shown an interest in this. Most recently, we've had the City Plan of Conservation and Development. We had the Thames Street Bridge Street Advisory Committee recommendations before that, which was the basis of the 2009 referendum. But you can see that it's been the subject of many studies, many attempts to try to rehabilitate the street and address the development of the area. Improvements have been very limited. As I mentioned before, it was 1957 since the last time that the street was completely overlaid with bituminous concrete. In the 1990s, there were streetscape improvements paid for by state and federal grants. And I would like to point out that those really have been very valuable to us, as we have discovered as we have proceeded with this project. When we get to talking about the condition of the street later, we'll be able to talk about how good the condition of the street is, the subsurface condition of the street, and that's because of this 1990 project. The granite curbing that was put in at that time is going to stay in place. There are only minor repairs that need to be made with the sidewalks in that area, so we're not scrapping those improvements by any means. In fact, they're helping us considerably with this project. One of the things that we'll talk about in a little bit, and if you've read about it in the committee report, is the survey we conducted. And one of the things we learned was that there was a misconception about why the town would be involved in this project. And so we point out here that the town of Groton is responsible for funding improvements. And that's why it went to referendum in 2009. There was some confusion about that. People thought that this was a project that could have been paid for by the city, but that's not true, that this is a town responsibility. All of us share